Welcome to today's deep dive. When you watch an Olympic relay race, the runners aren't stopping on the track to whittle a new baton.
Right. They definitely aren't pausing to carve intricate designs into the aluminum so the crowd can, admire their handiwork.
Exactly. Their sole job is to just grip that plain baton and hand it off. And today, you and I are exploring a fascinating set of Christian reflection notes from June 12, 2026.
Yeah, and these notes center on the biblical text of 1 Corinthians 15. Our mission here is to unpack the author's core argument, which is that sharing this religious message is, it's exactly like that relay race.
Right. The author claims believers routinely overcomplicate things when the mission is really just about the handoff. But getting that handoff right usually breaks down at two very practical points, doesn't it?
It really does. Usually it's freezing up on how to actually start the conversation and then, overthinking what to say once it begins.
So to see how to break through that freeze, let's look at a real-world scenario from the notes. Imagine it's a Saturday at this, really noisy subway station.
Oh, yeah, the subway anecdote.
Yeah. So a couple spots, a homeless man sitting on a bench in the sun, and he's just eating his lunch. The notes mention his clothes are worn. He's got a distinct smell.
And approaching a stranger in that setting is intimidating for anybody.
Completely. You'd think if you're going to interrupt him with a major religious claim, you'd need this masterfully crafted philosophical speech prepared.
Well, the instinct is always to build a grand argument to justify the interruption.
Right.
But this couple did the exact opposite. They walked up, asked to sit, and simply walk through a basic informational pamphlet.
No high-level theology at all.
None. Just 5 stripped-down points from the tract. They covered grace, humanity, God, Christ, and faith.
And according to the author, the man listened, nodded, and accepted their offer of what they described as eternal life without a second thought.
Yeah, just a simple handoff of the baton.
Okay, so let's unpack this because I have to push back a little on this premise.
Yes, go ahead.
If the underlying message is genuinely this straightforward, just sitting down and reading a 5-point pamphlet, why does the text point out that people feel such intense pressure to sound academically or theologically impressive?
The notes suggest it comes down to human ego and intellectual pride. We naturally want to be praised for how beautifully we carved that baton.
So if you just hand over a simple piece of aluminum, you don't get any credit for being brilliant or persuasive.
Exactly. And the expert insight here connects this modern psychological struggle directly back to the Apostle Paul's letter to the Corinthians. Paul's whole strategy actually bypasses that human desire to sound smart.
Right, because he frames the gospel as something you strictly receive, not something you invent. So instead of getting dragged into philosophical debates where you have to, prove your own intellect, Paul treats it more like a courtroom case.
That's a great way to put it. He builds a pure evidentiary defense. He strips the message down to a single historical claim that Christ died, was buried, and was raised on the third day.
And to back that up, he doesn't use theory at all.
No, he calls witnesses to the stand. He lists Cephas, the 12 disciples, James, and a massive crowd of over 500 brothers.
Wow, so he's basically laying out an undeniable paper trail to prove that the heavy lifting is in the evidence, not the presenter's rhetorical skill.
Exactly. And he even undercuts his own credibility on purpose to drive that home.
Yeah, the notes mention he calls himself the least of the apostles because he spent his early years actively persecuting the early church.
Right. He's looking at his audience and saying, I have zero moral high ground to stand on. Which is a brilliant tactical move.
Because by throwing out his own resume and his ego, Paul provides a blueprint for everyone else.
Yeah, he proves his ability to share this message relies entirely on the grace of God, not his own impressiveness. The notes use this to show that trying to sound highly impressive actually contradicts the very nature of a grace-based message.
It makes it about you instead of the baton. So, for you listening, whether you're studying religious texts or you're just fascinated by how foundational ideas spread, the ultimate takeaway here is about the power of the unembellished message.
Right. It forces you to confront your own fears. Are you afraid of looking foolish? Or do you trust that the core idea is sturdy enough to stand completely on its own without your decorations?
That's so true. And here's a final thought for you to explore on your own. If a foundational message is truly powerful in its absolute simplest form, at what point does adding our own impressive intellectual packaging actually start to completely obscure the original meaning?
That is the big question.
It really is. So the next time you feel the pressure to manufacture a grand argument, remember the track. Don't carve the baton, just pass it.